What were you doing when you were 16 years old? Think about that for a sec. Now, if you're like most people, then you were probably struggling to pass your math test, or had just met your high school sweetheart. But what if I told you that at just 16 years old, a teenager from Switzerland was shaking up the courts like an earthquake? So much so that she not only dethroned the almighty Steffi Graf, but also ended Graf's 377-week #1 streak that seemed as unbreakable as titanium. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Martina Hingisova, the can't-miss Swiss. Born on September 30th, 1980 in Košice, Czechoslovakia, Martina was like a tennis tornado that swept through the courts with her unstoppable talent. The Swiss began hitting tennis balls when she was just 2 years old. At that stage, kids her age were probably still learning how to stand without tripping. Now, you'd agree with me that in most cases, parents play a huge role when it comes to helping their kids secure a bright future. And in the Swiss's case, that parent was her mother, Melanie Molito. As a former tennis player and coach herself, Melanie recognized Martina's talent and passion for the sport right from the start. It was like she had a tennis radar for detecting little Martina's talent. So she took it upon herself to be her daughter's primary coach and mentor. And do you know what happens when your mom makes your career her priority? It means you get the best of the best when it comes to time, dedication, and resources. With the guidance of Melanie, Martina began formal tennis training when she was just 4 years old. Now, you're probably thinking age 4 is kinda too early to be cranking a child's schedule with professional training. But you know what they say, the more you sweat in training, the less you bleed in battle. In this case, the court was the Swiss's battlefield. And as soon as they formally began her junior tennis career, it was as clear as day that every single second of training paid off. At just 12 years old, Martina Hingis inscribed her name in the tennis record marbles by becoming the youngest ever Grand Slam junior titleist when she bagged the 1993 Junior French Open. But Martina's stardom story was just beginning. The following year, she continued to leave the tennis world in awe by winning the French Open again. Now, 2 back-to-back French Open victories? That's enough to tell you how good she was. But just in case that doesn't cut it for you, how about this? Just a few weeks after her French Open victory, the young star went on and secured yet another prestigious junior Grand Slam title, Wimbledon. Once again, becoming the youngest junior Wimbledon champion. Sheesh! This girl was on fire! She was born to play. And with that, the seeds of her reign in the world of tennis were sown. And back in October 1994, shortly after her 14th birthday, professional tennis welcomed the next big thing. The Swiss ended the 1994 season ranked number 87 in the world. And just so you know, that's something that countless players twice her age can only dream of. But the real kicker came in January 1995. Just 3 months after Martina turned pro, the Swiss didn't only make her debut at one of the biggest tournaments in tennis, she also became the youngest player to ever win a match at a Grand Slam event and advanced to the second round of the 1995 Australian Open. Before the end of the year, Martina had reached the quarterfinals of the French Open and Wimbledon, and became the youngest player in the Open era to win a match at the US Open. But what was even more impressive was how the then 15-year-old's ranking was raging like a kangaroo on steroids. From a humble number 82, she climbed like a mountain goat on a mission to reach the dizzying heights of number 16 in the world. On May 10th, 1996, the tennis world stood still as a 15-year-old Hingis stepped onto the clay court of the Italian Open. Her opponent, Steffi Graf. Just so you'd get a glimpse of what actually went down, Graf had been practically unbeatable on clay for 2 long years. So a lot of folks already knew what the outcome would be. Martina, on the other hand, had other plans. In what seemed like the Second World War, Hingis completely demoralized Graf in a 2-set match. That day, Martina not only won a match, but she won the hearts and minds of all those who watched. Throughout the rest of 1996, Martina simply continued to play with the same pace as she did in the previous year. And even a blind man could see that she wasn't just good, she was excellent. She proved that again when she teamed up with Helena Suková to bag Wimbledon's women's doubles title. And as if that wasn't enough, Hingis didn't just stop at being a Grand Slam champion in doubles. She also became the youngest Wimbledon Grand Slam champion of all time at the tender age of 15 years and 9 months. Now, it was crystal clear. Hingis was continuously showing the world that she had what it took to be one of the best tennis players in the world. But nothing at all would have prepared the world for the Martina Hingis of 1997. Picture this: January 25th, 1997, Melbourne Park, Australian Open. The stage was set, and Hingis was ready to make history. In a breathtakingly dominant performance, she faced off against the 1995 champion, Mary Pierce, in a final that is still remembered after 2 long decades. In just 59 minutes, Hingis displayed a masterclass of tennis wizardry. She ate Pierce up and left no crumbs. And when I say left no crumbs, I'm talking about a scoreline of 6-2, 6-2. Not only did she snatch the title, but she did it in style, without dropping a single set throughout the entire tournament. With that, she became the youngest ever winner of the Australian Open in the Open era. Let that sink in for a bit. The cherry on the cake came about 2 months later, when Martina ultimately dethroned Graf and became the youngest world #1 in WTA history, less than 2 months later on March 31st, 1997. You're probably starting to realize why she was nicknamed the can't-miss Swiss now. But if you still don't get it, it was because Martina's shots were as accurate as a Swiss Army knife, and she was a pro at slicing through her opponent's defenses with ease. It was like she had a sixth sense for the game, a sixth sense that made her a terror on the court when it came to precise shots targeted at helping hit her opponents where they least expected it. The best part was that living up to her nickname was easy peasy for the Swiss. Or at least she made it seem easy. In 1998, Martina Hingis took the tennis world by storm once again when she won all 4 of the Grand Slam women's doubles titles. She teamed up with mighty Mirjana Lucic at the Australian Open, and then joined forces with the legendary Jana Novotná for the remaining 3 Grand Slam events. But Martina didn't stop there. She also became the 3rd woman in tennis history to hold the #1 ranking in both singles and doubles simultaneously. That's right, she dominated the singles circuit while conquering the doubles scene at the same time. The Swiss continued to dominate female tennis throughout the 1990s and early 2000s. At the age of 22, she had won 40 singles titles and 36 doubles titles, and had spent a total of 209 weeks as world #1. According to Forbes, she was also the highest paid female athlete in the world from 1997 to 2001. That's 5 consecutive years of cashing in like a tennis tycoon. She was raking in more dough than a bakery during a bread sale. And if we're being honest, she deserved every bit of it. Because it takes a lifetime of hard work to achieve what the Swiss did at just 22. And all of that without breaking a sweat. And even after 20 years, we can't help asking the million-dollar question: how exactly did she do it? How did a teenager take on players almost twice her age and snatch up trophies like it was her birthright? Well, the answer to this is not so difficult for those that have ever watched the Swiss play. Martina's game was something truly extraordinary. But what truly set the Swiss apart was that she had a deep understanding of the game and could construct points like a chess grandmaster. And by that, I mean that Martina really knew when to be aggressive and when to rely on finesse. She was also in a league of her own when it came to her ability to effortlessly fire precise shots. Her remarkable court awareness also allowed her to strategically place shots that most of her rivals couldn't match. But the secret sauce to Hingis' success was her intelligence. The Swiss was not just smart, she was tennis smart. She knew when to change tactics, exploit her opponent's weaknesses, and exploit opportunities when she saw them. So it's no surprise that she was able to adaptively excel in both singles and doubles competitions, while showing off her skill in different formats of the game. Whether she was commanding the baseline in singles or dominating the net in doubles, Hingis could seamlessly transition between playing styles. And to top it all off, the Swiss had more than a few tricks up her sleeves when it came to grace and elegance. So there you have it, folks. Constant injuries in the early 2000s may have led her to struggle with consistency throughout the rest of her career, but it doesn't change the fact that Martina Hingis is one of the greatest players tennis has ever seen. Her reign was nothing short of extraordinary, and her name will forever be in the Hall of Fame of tennis legends. What's your take on Martina Hingis? Do you agree that she is one of the best players in tennis history? Let us know what you think down in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to learn more interesting things about your favorite tennis players.